Hello everybody, welcome to Class 8, our animation video series. Okay, first let's get to business, a couple of things before we get into the new material. Uh, about Adobe and working at home. So there is a link on today's handout here, and it's the same link that was on the last handout. And I know a couple of you couldn't make it work, and I apologize for not reaching out to everybody who's tried to reach me. Obviously, there's an onslaught of email communication going on, and I do apologize if I haven't gotten to particular issues. This one I have not gotten to. So, if you've not succeeded at getting into the free Adobe software, there are other sources. So I'll try to have them lined up by the Zoom video. Maybe we could look at those. Or maybe we've heard from the head of the department by then, or I've heard, uh, because he was interested about our success rate in that regard. So in any case, yeah, first order of business, I'm hoping everybody tried to get, everyone who could, tried to get that Creative Cloud suite for free for the next couple of months. So we'll talk more about it. You could tell me how it went. Okay, the labs, I just want to say, sadly, they closed officially as of March 23rd, only a few days ago. All of Fitterman Hall, our building, and other buildings were closed, and it looks like it's very difficult to get in at this point, and that the labs are effectively not in use for us. Those individuals here who just cannot do the work, I'm on your side. I have to figure something out on your part, but you should let me know. The best would be, of course, to email me at the usual address. And let me know that you're having that particular problem. I'm on your side. I don't really have a solution for you just now, but who knows? If there are computers that we could borrow, which I've been looking into, or other provisions, I'm examining the case. I do need everyone to do this particular thing for all of our sakes as a class. I want you to take an anonymous survey. This is really an impersonal set of questions. If you click here, it's going to ask if you currently have a computer, if you have Adobe Creative Cloud, for example. Similar questions. Do you have a reliable internet connection? So I can have an idea what's possible. This class is going to be the only way that I'm satisfied teaching it is if you can join me in whatever way. We don't have to be on site together. But in any case, there you have it. I want to say a few words about homework. The Class 7 assignment, that was the bird flying assignment, which also was about animated graphic symbols, is due tonight. See the last week's handout if you need to. But that is due tonight. And I'm very open-minded how you go about it, even if you don't use the steps that I recommended. See what you can do on your own. There have been all kinds of innovators in animation. But the idea as you head through the end of the semester is try to own some of this stuff. Get that bird on the move. Make it in some way something that impresses you. So I've already said a little bit about people without computer access, but I do want to say that I'm going to leave my deadlines open for people who identify themselves as without the equipment right now. All the deadlines are going to leave open for them for this moment until we figure out what policy the school has on it, mostly what provisions, if they have any way to help. And also in everybody's best interest to do the work and learn. You all came for a reason, and I do believe that through the videos and the meetings, that you could learn a real lot this semester. And even with the videos, the opportunity to re-watch stuff is just marvelous. I think we could really make use of this format. I mean, I don't want to put sugar on it, but I think there are advantages as well as the many disadvantages we're contending with. Okay, I want to just repeat something, and we're going to be taking this for granted very soon. So you're always going to start with the handout as you did today. You're going to look it over thoroughly so you know what to expect. Today there aren't assets, but typically, as you know, I've been leaving them on the website. I may start including links directly from here, which ought to be possible. Not that I've done that before. Where you could click just like you're doing to watch the videos or to join me in Zoom. But today there are no assets because you're going to make them. Third, open animate if you have it. You know, I'll include the same amount of detail that I do in class, and join me. I think that's the best way to handle it. Now, I would say you watch the video when you're ready, as long as it's before the set time for Zoom at 10:30. Now, I would personally skip ahead and just see what the subjects are. Just get a little bit. Sometimes they're much longer, a longer list than there is today. It's going to be more about graphic symbols, particularly animated graphic symbols, but this time symbols inside of symbols. So we're going to get all conception about it. But our goal is to get our car to drive, but its wheels should turn as long as we need it to drive, without us continually having to add frames or even consider how long those wheels are going to need to roll for. Pretty interesting stuff and very, very practical. I want to give you a peek at something before we embark and have a look at this. So I would like to tweak the timing on this one because the car is skating just a little bit. But the primary points are, well, the number one point is those wheels. So this car is a graphic symbol including those wheels, but the wheels inside the car are also graphic symbols. Okay, so let's go ahead and start a little document for ourselves. I'm going to ask for a 1280 by 720 document, fairly standard HD size, and I would like you to change the frame rate to 24 if yours is not set to 24 currently. All right. Once you're inside, I'm going to ask you to get comfortable, as I always say. My usual first step is Command 2, which lets me see the whole screen. Let me just fold up some stuff. I'm on a laptop. I'm going to come over here and back up a little, as you've seen me do many times, so I could see the offstage area. In this case, you know, I could lower this bar a bit, maybe a little bit. I want to spend some time drawing. So here and there we've focused on drawing, but by and large it's been all about motion. I think where we're at as a group, it's time to get a little bit more control. So we're going to make a car, and I'd like you to watch this for a moment because I'm going to start with just the rectangle tool, but I do want to point out a feature that we haven't used too much. Down here is this button here that switches between the default, which is called merge mode, and when it's pressed, it's called object drawing mode. So it's very subtle, but if I release it, it's a little lighter. That's the usual merge mode. That's the mode we've been drawing in the entire semester so far. Press down, it's called object drawing mode. Now I'm going to make sure to release it because we're starting with the way of drawing you're used to. Let's get the rectangle tool, pick a color for the car you're about to make. This is going to be for the body of the car. And I'd also like you to click the stroke. Alright, let's get the rectangle tool in merge mode, and I'm going to choose a fill color for it. And I'd like you to click on the stroke color and be sure that you turn it off. Because merge mode is all about two shapes merging when the colors overlap, and if you have a stroke it'll interrupt that. So I'm making a wide narrow shape, which is going to be the front, the back, the wheels are going to fit in, and I'm putting this very simple shape on top. Now I want to remind you that the way this program works, this is now one big shape. Now I'm going to want to manipulate it, but not with the black arrow. I want to get the white arrow, the subselection tool. If yours is not out, click here. Now if yours isn't out, you're going to see it here. You could press and drag it onto your own toolbar. That's the white arrow called the subselection tool. We're also going to need all the set of pen tools. Mine are faint because they're already loaded here. But if yours are not, come over here, drag the first pen tool, the add anchor point, the delete anchor point and this tool down here called convert, which we may or may not use. So we definitely need the wide arrow, and I am going to want this set of pen tools. You might as well do it. When you're done, you click the 3 red dots. Now, the first tool I want at this point is the wide arrow, as I was saying, because if I click the edge of this object now, I see very clear anchors in just the right spots. There's no record of it having been 2 shapes. And now I'm going to get busy by clicking anchors and then pressing to drag them. So I'm imagining what the front of the car might look like, and I'm not really thinking about the wheels or the area where the wheels fit just now. It's sort of the rest of the body that's on my mind. And click an anchor with the wide arrow, and I move it. So I have a lot of kind of freedom, and as I go, I imagine I'm going to keep changing my mind about how I feel today about the kind of car I'm after. I keep moving it, so I'm going to Command Z, click off. If you accidentally click inside, you move the object. So I'm clicking just the anchor point now a little bit more carefully. So it's up to you what kind of car you want. This has come pretty far from 2 rectangles at this stage, and I'm looking for, pretty nice profile of a car. All right, I'm satisfied. I'm going to keep this one. Now that I think about it, I would like to punch little holes where the wheels could fit. So right now, let's stay in merge mode before I show you the new trick, and let's use an old trick. So what I want to do is I want to get a shape where a wheel might go that's just right, because it's a one-shot thing. So if you don't like the shape, Command Z, try it again till you can really picture it. It should be a little bigger than the wheel that you want, and I'd suggest you hold down Shift. Once that worked, get the black arrow, click it. If there's a stroke on it, double click it and drag it away. All right, that's perfect. This is one of the other virtues of merge mode. So we're actually taking pieces out like we did on the first day. I dragged it over here because I'm going to want to click off, come back. Now it's also merged with the orange car there. So if I delete it, off they go. Now at this point, I don't want this car touched. I'm going to put windows on top of it and wheels underneath it, but I'm not going to be changing its ultimate shape. This shape is exactly what I'm after. So I'm going to try something new that I haven't discussed with you before. I'd like you to select the car, and it should only take one click unless you've gotten very decorative. And I want you to get to your Properties palette. This version, the Properties palette, has several tabs in this version of Animate, and I want you to go to the one called Object. This button here creates an object. In other words, it acts like one solid piece that isn't really there for this kind of merge behavior. So if you click it, you have to select the car first, mind you, click this, and you'll see this blue box, which makes it look like a graphic symbol. It isn't. It's an object, or a drawing object. And what's interesting about that is I could still come and manipulate it this way. I could change shapes, which is a pretty interesting opportunity, but other shapes won't be able to hurt it. This object really can't be hurt by other overlapping objects. It could still be edited, but it can't be affected by other objects. Okay. At this stage, I do want to make a graphic symbol out of it because the wheels will be easier once I'm inside the graphic symbol. One of the primary subjects today is the idea of a nested graphic symbol. So that means inside. Let's select the car, convert it to symbol. I'm going to call it car, making sure that it says graphic here. I'm going to say OK. This stage, I want to go into the library where I just put the car, and I'm going to double click it. Now I know the car is here, but we're in the main movie. This is where it's going to be rolling around the place. We're going to the dressing room just to prepare what the car should do, not where it should go. So I'm going to double click it. Well, I don't have to worry about objects taking bites out of the car or merging with the car. But the objects that I want to draw forward would also benefit from that same behavior. I'm not going to do any merging. And if I'm not going to do any merging, I want to start drawing from the beginning in a different way. I'm going to make some wheels. Here's the oval tool. And if I come down to the bottom, I have the same choice. If this is down, I'm in object drawing mode. If I release it, I'm in the regular mode, which is where we've been all semester. This was regular mode. Once I put this down, all the tools that could use object mode will. So I want to show you what I mean by that. I'm going to get myself some black. I'm going to go to the stroke and I'm going to say no stroke, please. And I'm going to go ahead and hold down shift and make myself a very round wheel. Holding down shift is important. Now this is already an object. I didn't start in merge mode like I did with the car, so I didn't have to come here and press this. I'd already turned on the option for all the drawing tools right now, so anything I go to is going to make objects. They're not going to take bites anymore. By the way, this behaves quite a bit like Adobe Illustrator. So this is just perfect for my wheel, since I don't have to worry about anything merging with my wheel. I could go ahead and build on it easily. I'm going to hold down shift for some other parts. So I want the center of the wheel. I'm going to drag that over to the center. I'm going to do my best to keep it in the middle, otherwise the wheel will not look quite right while it's rolling. Now that's nice looking, but there's something important. I do want this to look like it's turning. And since these are just two circles, there'll be no evidence of it turning. So what I'm going to do now is add a few little rivets in here. And we'll see those go round and round as the car drives. So I'm going back to the oval tool. I'm still in this object drawing mode, which I want to remind you that means shapes can be moved around. Right? They're not going to cause each other any trouble. We're not in merge mode anymore. Let me put that back. So, as I was saying, I'm going to get the oval tool. And I'm going to hold down shift and make myself a rivet. Rather than hand draw more, I'm going to click it, hold down option, and place just 4 of these so they don't get too much attention while the wheel is spinning later. We actually need that wheel and the body of the car to be on different layers. And I could have made the layer first, but didn't. So now I'm going to have to make the layer now and get one of these items onto the other layer. The body of the car is easier to move. It's one part, and I do want it on the upper layer, so let's choose that. Control X or Command X. Click on the upper keyframe, and instead of doing paste, I'm going to do paste in place. I do it so often that I like the shortcut Command Shift V. And that means paste it, but not in the center of the document. Paste it in the same position. Now notice it's on the upper layer now, and I could prove that by poking it in the eye. So I'm going to name that car body. Beneath it is the wheel, which I'm hiding and showing. Just call it front wheel now. I think we better save the document. Alright, well, the next step is to work with the wheel. So the wheel looks good, but I won't be able to animate it as a unit since it's not joined. Currently it's made out of 4, 5, 6 different parts. So I'm going to click the keyframe. It's an easy way to make sure that I select everything in it. And then I'm going to control click to make it a graphic symbol. Now, I would like to point out that we're already in a graphic symbol. And if you look up in the top left corner, you'll see that it says we're inside of car. We're in the library. So this is the first time we're putting a symbol inside of another symbol. The reason I'm going to do it is because these wheels have to turn by themselves. This wheel first. And I'd like to use a classic tween. So I selected the wheel. I did convert to symbol. I'm going to call it wheel, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, now it's going to move as a unit, and I can classic tween it. So what I want to do is I think I want to take both these layers out by using F5 to 1 second. Control F5 on my laptop. Now the car has to be F5 just because I don't want it to suddenly disappear. But the bigger deal is the wheel. Now that the wheel is set to be a graphic symbol, I'm just going to go to the keyframe and set it to classic tween. The weird part of this is even at the end of its life, the wheel isn't going to move in terms of going left or right. It's going to stay put. So I'm going to click at the end and F6 it, so I have a keyframe on both ends. Now, classic tweening has a feature that I'd never mentioned. If you go between keyframes, you could use the properties palette to actually tell it how to rotate. So I have to go in between a classic tween, in between its two keyframes, and just click anywhere. That won't matter. Just be sure you're on the right layer. Then go to rotate counterclockwise. I think that's for the best. Have a look at it. Remember, the car is going to the left. I like it. So what I'm going to do is make a new layer by clicking the new layer button. And I'm going to change that name to back wheel. But that's fine. So I have an empty layer, and there's the first keyframe in this brand new layer. And the beauty of this is the back wheel, I'm going to just pull it out of the library. Remember, we made the wheel into a graphic symbol, so we get to drag it out. Now this one, though, isn't rolling yet. So here's the back wheel. I put it on the back wheel layer. I'm going to go to its keyframe and do the same routine. Turn on classic tween, go to the end. I'm going to F6 that. Then I'm going to go in between to the properties palette next and go to the rotate feature. These are mostly classic tween options, so I'm clicking in the right layer now, and I'm changing rotate, and I'm setting it again to counterclockwise. At this point, the two wheels are going to move identically with very little work. Since we did a lot of drawing, I do want to add a little bit to the body of the car, and that's all back in frame 1 on the body layer. What I'd like to do is explore the pen tool for a minute. So let's find that pen tool that you brought on earlier. It might be under this stack of tools, so if different one's on top, just press on it, hold the button till you see the pen tool. Now the pen tool will draw with a stroke typically, so I'm going to start with a dark stroke, which I'm probably going to throw out later. The thing that's interesting is I could draw with the pen tool also in merge mode or object drawing mode. And right now I'm checking that that button is down. That's the way it is actually down. That's the way it looks up. It's too subtle for me, but there I am, I'm in object mode. After you find the pen tool, I want to make a change to the preferences. So join me by going to the Animate menu, to Preferences, to Edit Preferences. There, on the left sidebar, choose Drawing. What we're interested is telling the pen tool to show pen preview. You want to check that. It may be unchecked by default. I'd like you to turn it on. And click OK. It's just an easier way to get to know this tool, and later on you could choose for yourself whether you keep pen preview on or not. So let's get the pen tool. Again, just verify that you're in object drawing mode. And if you are, I'd like to show you what we can do. Notice I have a stroke and a fill, but it's only going to respect the stroke at first. So I'm going to click, click, click. Everywhere I want a corner, I click. I'm not pressing and dragging because I'd get a curve, and they're a little harder to handle. Right now, I just need straight lines. Pen tool did a great job with that. Now I want to go find the black arrow and select that shape. Now remember, it looks differently than we're used to because it's got this square called a bounding box, just reminding us that this is a drawing object and it's not at risk of merging with other colors like it would in the usual drawing mode. Anyway, it's an object, and the way that you change colors with an object drawing as opposed to the other kind, the original kind that we got used to, is we're not going to use the paint bucket. Instead, we're going to use the color chips. If you want to give it a fill, click the fill color chip and pick a color. If you'd like to change the stroke, click it. You could either change the color of it or just give it a color of none, which is what I like. I'm going to then go back and get the pen tool, and I think I'm going to make another window. Click, click, click. I'm imagining a space between doors. Click. And again, I'll get the black arrow, click on my new drawing object, and then I could pick a fill from the color chip. No paint bucket necessary. I'm going to turn off my stroke by using stroke of none. Oops, try that again. I'm going to turn off my stroke and click the stroke box and choose color of none. I'm going to go back and get the pen tool, do another window. Get the black arrow to select it. Fill box, pick a color. I want to say something about all these drawing objects. Currently, just about everything on the screen is a drawing object. The orange part of my car had been two rectangles originally, and I'd merged them by working with the original drawing mode, the merge mode that we got used to. But now that these are drawing objects, I could move things around freely without anything making a hole in anything. I could use the black arrow to make changes to objects, provided they're not selected. I have to click off of it, and then I can get corners and move them around. I could have made curves if I really had an interest in it. It's kind of cool. I think I will. Right? Or you could switch to the wide arrow. Use that as well. As long as you don't select an object, in which case it would think you're going to change colors or you're going to move it. I'm happy with this car, and I'm going to save it. The only thing I'd like to say is, it isn't going anywhere. It's rolling in place. We've spent so long in symbol editing mode, I wonder if you remember that we're there. We have to go back out to the scene. So I'd like to show you a few things. The car, for one, is sitting on the main stage now. I went back to scene 1, right, which is the main stage for us. And I'm going to move that car off to the right because that's where it's going to start its journey. Then, oops, I'm going to go to the keyframe, and I'm going to turn on my classic Tween. At that stage, I think I'd like to extend the timeline because it's 1 second long and I'd like that car to take its time. I think I'm going to go out to 4 seconds, and I'm going to F5. I've been promoting the habit of F5ing just so that you get in the habit of establishing lengths. Truly, I could have saved a step by just coming there and F6ing right away. Okay, now I'm ready to relocate the car, but I'd like us to be oriented first. Here's frame 1, and this is where the car's supposed to be. He's going to be driving left, and in 4 seconds he's going to arrive on the other wall. So I'm going back to that keyframe we just made. That's at the 4 second mark, and I'm going to take the car and have him arrive, so to speak, or be repositioned. Alright, now when I play it, we get the best of both worlds. It'll even loop beautifully. This is a great example because this car could drive for any distance. I could change its speed. I could do all kinds of things to it, but I won't have to redraw the wheels. and they will continue to feel like they're rolling. All right. I do believe I'd like to do one more thing. Yeah, I'd like you to have a look at this little sample of what we could do with an element like that car. I'm going to do a very, very fast um, demonstration of what's going on with that landscape in the background. Look at the landscape in frame 1, and I back away. You could see that it's a very long drawing, and it sticks out to the left. Now that car is driving over to the right, while the landscape is going in the opposite direction, creating a very exaggerated effect. Okay, now what I want to do is point out, without the car, that the landscape is just simply going until its tail end is on stage. Starts here, moves to the right, until it's just inside. Okay. Okay, just wanted to give you a last peek at that lower layer. So here we are in keyframe 1, where this large singular landscape is sticking out toward the left. And in a couple seconds down the road, in the same 4 seconds that the car took, I'm having it conclude by sticking out to the right. Essentially, this brings it toward the car, even as the car is driving and changing location. Food for thought. All right. I would like to wish everybody well with exploring these concepts. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I look forward to seeing you at the Zoom meeting. See you then.